Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing a highly requested video with you guys about my favorite makeup brushes. So I've had a lot of requests recently to talk about what brushes I like, and I do have some that are kind of my top favorite brushes that I reach for the most. As you can see behind me, I have a pretty big collection of brushes, and for the most part I do use all of them, but there are definitely a few that I reach for more often. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, and if you want to see more, keep on watching. So first I wanted to talk about foundation brushes, and this is the category that I actually pulled the most brushes for, and that is just because I have several that I really like, and all of these I use regularly. In fact, I need to wash this one because I used it today and it's dirty, but I wanted to mention all four of these brushes because I think they're all really great. The first one is from Sigma. This is the Sigma F80. Everyone on YouTube talks about this, and it really is a really good buffing brush. So I definitely highly recommend this brush. I like using this one whenever I'm wearing a more liquidy foundation. So like with my HD foundation from Makeup Forever, this works really great with that one, or Revlon, the Revlon Photo Ready that's a little bit liquidy. Anything that's kind of got a more runny texture, I really like using this brush with those. And then the next brush that I have is from Real Techniques. So this one I think is such a great deal. Of all the foundation brushes that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, this is by far the least expensive, and it really just does a great job. So this is called the Buffing Brush from Real Techniques. It has a very similar shape to the Sephora collection brush that I use on my brush belt at work. It's very similar. It's about the same brush head size, but this one is a much cheaper option. So you can find these at Ulta. I believe that you can also find them now at like Walgreens and Fred Meyer's. So it's pretty easy to get your hands on these guys now, and the quality is actually really good. The brush that I wanted to mention, this one is from Urban Decay. This is the Urban Decay Optical Blurring Brush. This one, in my opinion, is very similar to the Real Techniques brush, but this one's a lot cheaper. The main difference in this one is just the handle is much more substantial. It's very heavy, it's got some weight to it, and I've had this brush a very long time. I wash it constantly. Since I use liquids with this, I'm constantly having to wash it, and I've never lost any bristles from this. Whereas this one does shed, and I've had this one probably about the same amount of time. I've had them both about a year, and this one I do lose some bristles, and this one I've never lost any bristles. So you can tell the quality is better on this one. I believe this one is about $26 or $28. But again, it lasts so long that it totally is worth that extra investment. And the last brush that I wanted to mention in the foundation category is this one here from Tarte. This was a limited edition brush that came in the holiday kit, but you can still get this same brush with a different handle from Tarte. So they do still carry this brush. It is so dense and so soft, and it's got a much larger brush head size, so it's a lot faster buffing out the foundation. And this one I actually think works really great for thicker, more moussey foundations as well as liquidy. So this one I feel like it's more versatile. It works for all different kinds of foundation textures, and it just makes everything look flawless. So out of all of them, if I could only pick one, I would definitely say this is my favorite, but they are all really good brushes. So the next category that I wanted to mention is highlighting brushes. I picked two that I really have been enjoying. The first one is from the Sephora collection. This is the Pro Contour Brush number 79. It has a nice tapered top to it, and this one is really flexible and really soft, and that's why I like it so much for highlighting, because you can really like lightly dust on your highlight and it doesn't like create too harsh of a line. It makes it really nice and soft and diffused, and then you can use kind of the top of the brush to blend it out. So I really like this one a lot. I've also been using this a lot to set my under eye with that tapered top. It makes it really easy to get into the contour in between your eye and your nose here. So it makes it really easy to use a setting powder. So I've been using this for multi-purposes, and I really, really love this. The Sephora collection brushes that I've tried, the quality is actually really, really good. And it is more expensive though. The Sephora collection brushes are definitely really close to the same price as like getting a MAC brush or a Sigma brush. So you're not saving a lot of money, but the quality is really, really good. And then the other brush that I've been really loving for highlighting, this one is from Real Techniques, and this is the contour brush. I don't use it to contour. I really don't like it for a contour, but it works great for highlighting. It's very, very similar kind of technique to applying it as what how I apply it with the Sephora collection brush. You just kind of lightly dust it right on the tops of your cheek, and then you can blend it out. But this one just does a really, really good job. And again, these are a lot cheaper. So I really, really like the Real Technique brushes for the price that you're paying. The quality is really good. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about just one powder brush. So I have a lot of like fluffy powder brushes, which I kind of will randomly grab whichever one is clean when I use a fluffy powder brush, and I don't really have a favorite in that category, so I'm not going to be talking about those ones. But this brush from e.l.f. is the e.l.f. powder brush, which is like a flat top kabuki brush. This one I love. I am obsessed with this brush. I've owned like 3 of them because they keep falling apart on me, and I've had this brush for years and years and years, and I love it. So what I like to do with this brush is I dip it into my powder, and then I press the powder onto my face. So it does a really good job when you want, I'll use this usually when I'm wearing like a BB or a CC cream, and then I put a full coverage foundation over the top of it. So I did do that today, and I just like the way that it looks. It gives a really nice finish, without looking too powdery or too cakey, but it just does a really, really good job, and it's very soft, it's very flexible, and the quality of these e.l.f. brushes is incredible for the price, because I think this brush is like $3 to $5. It is super inexpensive and really good quality. You can get this on the e.l.f. website or from Target as well. The next brush that I wanted to mention, this is a limited edition brush, but I feel like you can still get this brush without the limited edition packaging. So this is from MAC. This is the 125 SE brush, and this one is the dual fiber brush. This brush is incredible for contouring. I absolutely love the shape of it. It has that nice pinch shape, which makes it so effortless to apply your contour. You can get right up into the contour of your cheeks and just kind of apply it, buff it out. It reminds me, like the shape reminds me of the NARS Ita brush, although I've never tried the Ita brush, but it does give that similar kind of shape to it, so it makes it super easy to apply a contour. But it's also nice and soft and very flexible, so you can still use it to buff out the contour as well. So I highly recommend this brush. I really love it. I wish it wasn't limited edition. The last kind of face brush that I wanted to talk about is another Real Techniques brush. In case you couldn't tell, I really like their brushes. This one is called the Deluxe Crease Brush. So it's a really nice, big, fluffy, it's supposed to be a eyeshadow brush, but I don't like it for eyeshadow. I feel like it's a little bit too big for the eye area, for the eyeshadow area, I should say. So what I like to do with this is to set my under eye with a powder. Now I do, as I mentioned, sometimes use my Sephora one for that, but if I'm using a loose powder, I like to use this one here to just kind of lightly dust it in. So it's a little bit bigger, rounder, so it's really nice for that area because you're covering kind of a lot of ground there. But I don't like using it on my eyelid. But I did want to mention it because it's a great under eye setting brush. Okay, now we're going to move on to eye brushes. So I do have quite a few eye brushes for different shapes and sizes for different purposes. So I want to start with my blending brushes. I have 2 that are my favorite. I think these actually work equally as well. They both work very, very similarly. So I will just grab for whichever one is most convenient to grab. So the first one is my Sigma E25, and mine is dirty, but this is what it looks like. It's a nice big soft blending brush. Very, very flexible, very easy to work with, and it just does an amazing, amazing job. So Having a good blending brush is the key to doing eyeshadow. I mean, you just really need a good blending brush. I think you can kind of get by with crappy brushes as long as you have one good blending brush, and these they make blending effortless. You'll have much less work to do if you have a good soft blending brush. So that one I highly recommend. The other one that I have that I wanted to mention is from Real Techniques, and this is from their metals collection. This is the silver one, but I love this brush. This is brush number 203, and it's almost identical to the Sigma brush, to be honest, but I love the packaging. It's very, very sleek. It's very, very light. It looks like it would be heavy, but it's not, and it does an amazing job of really getting in there and blending these shadows out as well. So I recommend either one of these brushes. You'll get a very similar result from both of them, and I'll just show you a close-up of the two. They are both really, really great brushes. So there are those. So next I wanted to talk about packing brushes. So both of these brushes are for packing shadow on the lid. I have two that are my favorite. The first one is, again, a Sephora collection brush. This is the Pro Smoky Shadow Brush number 30. And I got this one on clearance recently. But this brush is very, very dense and very, very tightly packed. So that is why they call it a smoky shadow brush, is because you're going to get, with how tightly packed this brush, the bristles are on this brush, you're going to get a lot more, you're going to pick up more product, and it's going to apply a lot more pigmented than a more fluffy brush. So you can really pack the color on with this brush. I love using this brush for like the ColourPop eyeshadows, or if I'm doing a smoky eye and I want a really intense color on the lid. This works great for those kind of eyeshadows, and this by far is like my favorite brush for using on the lid. I really highly recommend this brush. But if you're wanting to save a little bit of money and still get a very good brush, this one is from e.l.f. Mine is super beat up and dirty because it is so old, but this is the e.l.f. Professional eyeshadow brush. I believe this brush is $3, and it's just got the perfect shape for packing eyeshadow onto the lid. So this is a really great brush and a really great price. So I have like 3 of the same exact brush because it is just that good. Okay, so as long as I'm talking about e.l.f., I do have another e.l.f. brush, and this one is called the Defining Eye Brush. This one has an angle on it, but it is not a angled liner brush. It is like a fluffier kind of brush, and it's very, very, has a lot of movement to it. It's not stiff whatsoever, and it's got this nice angle. So what I like using this brush for is for my highlight. So because of that nice tapered angle, or that nice angle that you have on this brush, it works really good to get into the inner corner of the eye, but it also works really nicely when you turn it on its side to highlight the brow bone. So again, I have like 3 of these brushes because they're very inexpensive and they just do a great job. I don't use anything else to highlight. This is the only thing I use to highlight on my eyes. Last category of brushes that I wanted to mention is a good pencil brush. I love using a pencil brush to pull some eyeshadow down my lower lash line and kind of smoke it out a little bit. I also really like a pencil brush for getting like a defined outer V if I'm looking for something a little bit more dramatic. And pencil brushes just do a really good job of applying shadow precisely. So if you're doing kind of more of a complicated look, or again, if you want something on your lower lash line but you don't want it getting everywhere, you need a good pencil brush. Both of these are from e.l.f. This one is limited edition packaging, but you can still get this brush without the packaging. And this one here is called their eye crease brush, but again, I like using it for the lower lash line. Both of these brushes are really inexpensive. e.l.f. is a good option to check out for brushes. If you're on the market for brushes and you don't have a lot of money to spend, go get yourself some e.l.f. brushes because the quality is amazing. So those are all my favorite brushes that I own. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and got some useful information. If you have any questions, leave those below for me, and also leave below and let us know what your favorite brush is. I would love to hear what you guys are using and loving, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Have a great day. Bye guys.